7 poems in a row, because that can get pretty dry, pretty quick, pretty overwhelming, lots of emotions. So I said, how can I weave this together? How can I tell a story? And so I've come up with something pseudo storytelling, narrative, poetry, with music, and I think it's pretty cool. I think we don't really tell stories anymore. Just like get up in front of people and tell stories, works of fiction, and that's what this is. It's just a story that works in poetry and some music and some metaphor, all sorts of things. And I hope you enjoy it. This story begins on the day I met Kane. I met him during his second year of an undergraduate degree in architecture. We met by chance. He sat down next to me in some library, student union, inquired about my fountain pen. I immediately liked him. He was wearing bright, eclectic clothing and wanted to know about my writing. So I told him. We discussed art, poetry, and what it meant to be an artist. I quickly learned that he was an artist. And we talked about our art in similar ways. I spoke of sounds and meanings set to structures, a poem. And he told me about his structures, buildings with meanings and sounds. I didn't quite know what that meant at the time. But as we talked more, as we got to know each other, as I started to tell him about the deeper thoughts that haunted me, he began to tell me about the ghosts that haunt him. He pointed to the corner of the room by the ceiling and said, "Look there, that's one of them. A ghost. They speak into my right ear," he said. "They inspire me. Give me floor plans, designs, ideas for my creations." It sounded absurd, but what artist isn't? And so he continued week after week, day after day, trying to explain to me how these ghosts looked, sounded, and created their art. He described them poetically, something like, "The spirits taught me that pliant are our structures, the directives ephemeral whispered hints. When the upper right compliant corner twists into conchal vortex, but above bright projector screen, showing all that horrific structure brutalist builder Erno Goldfinger used to brutalize a beautiful globe." I saw her face, screaming in the corner, like the first God. We met eyes and knew her truth would flow from my drafting pencil. The professors of structure stared silently, swirling strokes subconsciously sinking. Spirit so serious, see? Student, seek psychiatry. 7 speaks salvation. See? I have no need. What is a heaven with no word, no spirits, no sun, no saints? These men stare into the sun, act like they know it. They claim concrete creators can't conceive creativity, kept complacent. Cages crumble, correct kin contained coffins his cannibalistic college clique. Lightness grips me. I built my home from straw and mud, so when they come, I blow away right with it. Never has man known so much freedom. Cain wrote that poem. He gave it to me on the day he told me he was leaving the university. His grades were sinking. Every time a professor heard about the boy who listened to ghosts, they tried to fix him. They told him stick to something basic. Try neo-Victorian, something more straightforward. Of course, he couldn't do that. He couldn't just let his muse go. So he set off. He told me he was going up somewhere free, somewhere away from all the structures of society, into the mountains, where he could create his own art. I asked him to please write, but he was too beautiful to lose. He did not write. Not until last February. Last February, I received a battered letter in the mailbox. It was scribbled on scraps of paper, hardly intelligible. It read, Abbott, my dear corporeal friend, I would like for you to meet me. I reside now at 207 Woodman Street, Mammoth Lakes, California. It is the home that looks like me. Please do come soon. Someone must see. I know that it has been so very long, but I have not forgotten you. See? I have not forgotten they said I might forget, truly fall away from it all, but I've held on. Please do come soon. You'll see. Came. I went. The next day, I felt as though I couldn't wait. I was worried maybe that this friend had completely lost it, but part of me was hopeful that some of him might still be there, that I might get to again meet that old friend. So I got into the car, turned the key, and I set on up into foothills, under the gaze of the mountains themselves. Miles and miles make a meditation of me. A deep breath, rising, falling over the hills. Thin air and sunset says, deeper yet, deeper yet. Wind clear of all that lies below whispers into my right ear, as if she has been in the car the whole time, as if she has been my closest friend. And as darkness gobbles the sky, I realize the mountains are a perfect place to die. So far away from civilization, with the stars opening up above me, I started to understand the beauty, the clarity of being away from all of that society, that structure, that oppression. I took a moment, stopped the car, and looked up. The February air was frigid, but the sky was clear myriads of lights watching me. They seemed closer than they ever had been, like they were reaching down. And I reached up, I felt I could almost touch them, pluck a light from the sky, hold it in my hand. And that's when I felt it, their sound, a deep reverberation in my chest. I could hear a ringing in my right ear. I felt close. But I couldn't let myself go, be carried away to ephemera. So I got back in the car and I drove the last hour to Mammoth. I'd been driving for 12 hours. I was delirious, I was tired. But as I pulled into the town, I knew I just had a little further to go. Drove to the end of town, found my way to Woodman Street, and turned onto it. The darkness was thick, palpable. I could feel it closing in on me. Trees on either side, reaching limbs down into the twin headlight beams. All I could see. I realized my knuckles were white, clenching the wheel, and just as the first thought came into my mind to turn around, I rounded a bend and saw a house. It's hardly a home in here. Interior and exterior not in alignment. A door opens up from the second story to a drop. Balconies enjoy off angles. Every window stains the light. So looking out, looking in might be more art than practical application. Structural negations plague framing, lack of insulation, so I know what's happening outside. As the paint peels, skin shows underneath. Beady eyes keep company from where the seams burst. A home stays still. It does not crack under the pressure of a wrong step. It sends me crashing through the porch. The first step I took onto the strange house's balcony had punched straight through the wood. I slowly pulled myself up, dusting off my pant legs and testing the stability of the boards. They weren't rotting, just not made right. Piled up loosely and held together by too few nails. I knocked once, twice, 7 times. I got no response, so I opened the door. In the right ear of man, reaching through the thrumming threshold, do you hear me enter? I fumbled in the dark and found a light switch. I was surprised when an electric glow filled the room. Papers, books, sketches, and journals covered the floor, all the way to the entrance, not wasting a single inch of floor space. I could see the genius work of a madman stretched out before me. Couldn't see the man anyway. Yet maybe in your scrawlings, maybe in your genius, I do see you. From this handwriting rose 5 fingers clenched around a pencil. In the windows, eyes, stained glass, cracked distortion, the floor plan, a warped body, electric veins, humming with vitality. and the self-portrait. It laid like a heart in the center of the living room floor, a divine blueprint, a great map of Cain's mind and body, a work truly in his image. The self-portrait, it speaks of, though as and despite its painter, structure shifting to encompass, to consume the observer. Obliteration is the only outcome, the artist, the audience. One must die so the other can live on. I feel dizzy. I reach my left hand out for support. Look up and don't recognize where I am. The house has changed, folding in upon itself. It's changing, transfigured, transcendent, faces in the walls, screams of structure, beams of meaning, the chimney rhymes, the windows alliterate into endless reflection. I know I'm looking into the magnum opus, the seventh day perfection, the philosopher's stone. I hear the floor begin to crack under the weight of it all. Tremors shoot up from below, and I realize this is what Cain wanted to show me, that the artist must kill his audience or feel their sevenfold retribution. To read and not see, to kill and never understand. I watch them scrawl crayon scribbles all over my masterpiece with every false comment of praise. They tear down the walls, rend my flesh, lobotomize my beauty, and leave it drooling alongside them. Pathetic. I pull out a lighter, hands trembling. I look at the writhing pages under my feet. The body of the artist who was once my friend. I let the flame feast on the dry old pages. And I walk back out the front door, just like those who I lament for entering my home. You come in and flip tables, break windows, burn it down, and act as though you are participating in the art. You are not here. I want to kill you. I want you left awestruck in worship. Feel my sublimity, divinity. But you leave like a heretic, destroying all that you cannot understand. So do I. I look back on the greatest piece of art I ever saw, illuminated by the sun's morning glow. And together we watch it burn.